Hello YouTube and cryptocurrency family, and thank you again for stopping by. My name is Harry and I am the Crypto Vet. I really appreciate everybody who's been liking the videos and commenting, as it means the world to me. I've been doing this in my free time for a long time, and honestly just been talking to myself, but now I get to talk to you guys. So I really appreciate you tuning in. Again, please like and subscribe. It's the only way I can bring more content to you, and know that somebody actually wants to watch it and actually gives a damn. And if you don't, hey, skip it, go something else. Do whatever it is that makes you happy. But in this video, I am going to go ahead and just break down technical analysis on what I'm doing with Bitcoin right now from start to finish. So when I pull up my charts, they will be completely blank. And the reason I'm doing this is a friend of mine asked, she's like, hey, how do you know, you just, on your videos, you're talking about this and that and this. And, the whole reason I did this is I really wanted to, offer a lot of the TA classes that the people already have that you have to pay, several $100s for. They'll definitely be more structured, but I just kind of wanted to bring that out and just, as we're in a market, my idea of going into it. And then as questions were asked and I have more time, I will actually do videos like the little series I was trying to start, the 3-minute crypto. I'm probably going to try to break it down into each term in technical analysis. I will break down the history of an altcoin, and where it's going, where its project's headed, and things like that. So without further ado, sit tight. I'm going to try to make this fast, but I've said that 3 or 4 videos now and they end up being 20-30 minutes. But go ahead and sit back and we will get started. Alright, just to get started, before we look at a chart, let's just see where everything's sitting at. So it's currently 9:15 Texas time. On CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin is trading at around 92.50. Everything's been kind of down today. XRP has been pretty good, is actually on my technical analysis showing some signs that it could be on a bullish run, but we're looking at Bitcoin today and just going to learn a little bit about technical analysis. So when we go here to this Bitcoin chart, I am using just Bitcoin to USD. This is a weekly chart, and I believe I am actually using, let's check, the Coinbase chart, only because I actually trade on Coinbase. So we'll come back to here. Yep, there's the Coinbase chart. And the first thing I do is I just kind of get a whole grasp. Where did it start and where are we at now? So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking for the biggest things that catch my eye. And I'm looking for huge changes in price. So if we come here right in the middle, we see that we have a bottom right here. And if I go all the way to the left here in 2017, we have a top, which was our all-time high. And then I go, okay, well, what happened before and what happened after that? So that way I can hone in my analysis a little bit. All right, well, right before this rally, we actually had a long drop, and then we came into what looks like very, very tight trading, and then we dropped again. But at this point, we slowly made our way up, and then if we do that same type of quick analysis again, we have a top here. And overall, we were heading down. We started to try to come up, came down from there. Okay, so we know that we have spots where we've seen before because we know what's happened. If we try to predict what's happened here, anything could go. You could make any type of trend or anything up, and you can probably back it up with some information. But history may not repeat itself, but it sure as hell rhymes, and there are lots of technical analysis that, based off of what you see, you have a higher percentage chance that the next move is going to be more in one direction. So when I was trying to explain this to my friend, I told her, I was like, think about technical analysis as you're in a game. Every single person who can see this chart and puts money into the exchange is playing the game with you, okay? And the more people who agree with what you see on this chart, is the likelihood that that chart will go in that direction. Is the way I was trying to break it down simply. So to make it some more visual cues, let's go ahead and say, this was a very famous, not famous, how do you say it? Get rid of that. Oh my lord. All right, so I can zoom in. This trend right here from the all-time high down to where before we dipped one more time was probably when I first started getting into trading. And during this time, I was deciding whether or not I wanted to buy Bitcoin. And I ended up not buying it because of this drop. But I didn't understand technical analysis the way I do now. And I wish after this drop I had decided to buy in, so I could have been a part of the second bull run that occurred. Well, during this time, so if we pretend everything from this point here back is gone, this was all I had. So I could put a support line or a trend line or something and make a pattern here. Well, before I could do that, before I do the trend that I'm trying to point out here, if we only had this here, the way I would start with my analysis is then take what I see. So I saw a drop here, I saw a drop here, a rise here, and I will start making trend lines for that. So I'll come over to my trend line tool, and I could say from here to here. Well, that doesn't make sense. Nothing has touched it there, right? If we kept going a long time, maybe somewhere in April it could have stayed on that decline. Well, that's not a really good line. All right. Well, let's go down here. We know that about right here, somewhere in this point, lots of times Bitcoin has come down here and tested this line here. So what do I mean by tested it? Well, at this point, at this price, the 6,130-ish, lots of people thought, who were doing exactly what we're doing here, technical analysis, that if it gets to that point, I'm good buying it. So they bought it. And at point, as it gets confirmed by every one of these weekly candlesticks, is a point that everyone agrees that this is a support line. So this trend line that you just put, and anybody can make a trend line. I can come over here and say that this is a trend line. Well, this trend line has no confirmation, so nobody else is probably trading based off of this trend line. Okay, but if I take another one here and I draw it to there, well, now I have a trend that lots of people probably saw, because this is just a triangle, and more advanced traders know exactly which type of triangle. This is going to be a descending triangle, which typically will break to the bearish side. Not every time. This is, anything can happen. Something could have happened right here that, Bitcoin is the only currency that'll ever be used again. Well, even if we were at this point and 90% of the time it says we were going to go down, because the government said, yeah, only Bitcoin can be used, it can do the opposite here. But during this time, it decided to break to the downtrend. All right, so now we have a triangle that we formed that was confirmed here to the downtrend. So then I try to take something that was long-term that worked before and see if I can make it happen again. All right, so I came to this spot and I'm putting another little descending triangle here. And as we can see, we did have a drop there. All right, well, just quickly looking at this, if I didn't know anything else and I was saying, well, maybe we're coming up into something like that again. Let's try and find a place where these actually all touch. Well, probably right around there. Well, that's not a flat line, is it? So then we can't say that this trend analysis that I'm doing of these descending triangles is something that may or possibly would repeat right now. All right, so let's try and find something else. Okay, let's see. Over here, let's see what happened before we went up. I went over 2 times when we went down. On this one, if I put a line right here, we had confirmation on the top. Well, this line is now a resistance line instead of a support, and it's flat. Well, if we come to here and I go like this, we've just now made the opposite of this triangle here. We now have an ascending triangle where the resistance line is a flat line and we're getting higher lows as we go. So as the weeks progressed, our low never went below the first low. So this trend typically shows that there is a bullish trend. So if we came here, we can see that it was confirmed. Now let's test other places. So let's see if this is something that's been reoccurring here. So let's just, in this broad trend, broad area here before the small bull run, let's see if we kind of copied that. We did. So we have this ascending triangle, and it showed that we came into a little bit of a bull run. We get to here, well, we didn't make a new high. We've been on a downtrend overall, no matter which route you try to take, if you just try to connect the dots here. So since June of 19, I would say that we have been in a bear trend. We have been down. We have not set any new highs, and we have set new lows. Do we know if we're going to go up from here? We don't. Do we know if we're going to go down here? We don't. But if we go down and stop it here, well, now we're starting to do another pattern, a reverse head and shoulders. If we decide to stop here and go up, well, this could have just been part of a consolidation pattern. And, there's so many ways that you could read it. But based off of just ascending and descending triangles, I am more in the bullish trend. But before I get into other reasons why, this is just something that I do just at first glance. I don't always just do the triangles. If we take everything off, and let's just do the 2.5-year support line that I talk about all the time. That is probably one of the biggest reasons or the biggest number I use. Before May and April, this line was right here. So this line I have kept here. Even though we've broken above it, I haven't extended a new line to here because this doesn't really tell me as much as I would want. Instead, I use them together in conjunction. So I'll draw one line here, and then I'll also link to that one, and then draw another line that actually kind of matches those two. So by doing this, I've created, in a sense, like a Fibonacci retracement, array retracement here. And I'm not going to get into too much depth on that just because I could talk for hours on that. But let's just say I leave the first trend line I had from a long time ago because I have confirmation points, places where stuff has actually gotten to. This one here only has a couple until we get down to here. When we get down to here, we know that that is definitely a resistance line because it's extended from here, it's touched several points, and it has multiple points here that have made contact and shown that that is a line. If I took this other one here, it goes down. That was my original one. And the only reason I do that is now we're starting to change what the original resistance line may be. Maybe we aren't at the right one. Maybe it is a little bit higher and we're testing a new one. So I'll take a look at this just to see, where do we stand as far as the long time? Well, based off of what I knew in right before the corona hit, this is where that line would have been if we got to this point. Well, we broke past that line. So to me, I feel like we are in an uptrend above everything that we've been in because we are starting to trade above that line now. So the same for resistance lines we can do for support lines. So if I come back to way back here, we can see that this line has proven pretty damn good at not dropping below. We have confirmations here. After the 2018 crash here, we stayed right along that line. During the corona crash, we stopped right at that line. It overextended a little, but most of the part it was rebought up and we came to here. So I know for a fact that this is a good support line that a lot of people are using as what they're buying and what they're selling at in this game that we're playing of trading back and forth. The more people that are following the same trends, the more likely that that trend is going to occur. So same again, I will come back and let's just try another thing. We're going to just test this. This looks like a spot where support has been good. And on this line though, since I'm doing it in the middle, we have spots where it's above and touches, and then we also have spots below where it touched. All these different spots. Just same with this new line that I drew that's going and including this last month and a half here, right? We have the tops now versus it having no support whatsoever. This one has both, this one has both, this one has just support. So I'm looking at this here and I can see that we are in this overall triangle here, symmetrical triangle. So that means that we could technically go either way. Well, the fact that Bitcoin is a scarce product that is 21 million only, we have not set any new lows since this original trend line here. The overall is bullish, but we are currently in a bear market, and you can get as technical as you want, but since this here was the bull market, and until we set some new highs, I don't see us in a bull market. We are still technically in the bear market. So I do this with my trend lines right off the bat just to kind of get an idea of where would some of my positions be and different shorts and longs. So like right now is a really tough place to do that, but I am going to give you my one prediction on one short or one long position that you could do right now. This is not financial advice. I'm a doctor/idiot. So please, this is just to educate you on how to set up trades, how to use trend lines and all that. So I have these trend lines here. Well, after that, we have tons of indicators that everybody uses and values that they set them at. So I always set up with the volume. I have a simple moving average. I use Bollinger Bands. I have an exponential moving average. And then I also use the RSI as well as the MACD. Well, there's tons of ways that you can put all of those together, and I'm going to make some videos on that. But if you want me to show you how to set up each one of these indicators, I can, but it just, it takes a couple minutes each, so I don't want to waste your time on this. But then I start to add these different indicators and kind of see, does each indicator kind of go along with what I thought was going on in the market. So right here we had a rally to the upside. During that time we had tons of volume, and the volume decreased as we got up to there, and now we are trading into a point where our volume is heading down. And you should hopefully agree here. Volume was high, we bought up. As volume's going down, we are now starting to get into a tighter trading pattern because there's not as much there to sell. So this here would be a bearish, in my analysis. Oh my gosh, brain fart there. There's a bearish trend here because our volume's going down. All right, so I take a look. We're having trouble breaking some resistance lines, but we're getting support on another one that was previously a resistance line, and now we haven't gone below that. So that there, is kind of telling me that, okay, we're good, but something needs to happen because we can't keep trading here. So all right, so we'll take our volume off, and let's go ahead and look at our Bollinger Bands. Bollinger Bands tell us when volatility is in the market, and if we're over, are we getting out of the realm of where we should be as far as it being bought or sold. In the center here, we have our 50 moving average, 50-day moving average. And you can see that because if I, whoops, or maybe it's, I think I have them backwards. Yeah, maybe it's the 20-day EMA. Either way, yeah, when I put it on, oh, I'm on the weekly chart. I can't do that one on here. Whoopsies. Because it's not set to 1-day candlestick, like if I set this to that. But if I have my Bollinger Bands on, I can see, are we going past or extending out of where we should be. So right now we're still trading in, but we're kind of on the upside. We're trading above the moving average. I wouldn't use this 20 moving average on here because that's not the one that everybody else is using. To do that, I would have to switch this to daily. And if I trade it to daily, we can see that the daily actually matches my 20 here. The lines almost are on top of each other. All right. So now, whoops, oh, I'm still drawing. All right, so moving back and zooming out. Now that I checked my volume, I see that we're kind of going downtrend. Then I add even more indicators because I kind of want to see what else is going on. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 20 exponential moving average on the 1-day scale. The reason I use the 1-day is because that is what everybody else uses. So on the 1-day, we can see that we are trading right below the support line that I had before, and we're trading right below that average. Well, that doesn't help me much because or doesn't tell me much as far as being bullish. It tells me more that we're bearish because we're using that line, which is the 20-day moving average. We are touching the top of it right now, as well as touching another potentially resistance line. So if we were to say get above this and close this weekly candle in 2 days and 3 days above this line, the next thing we'd have to hit something else. So I would step back and go, well, what are the marks that we have to hit? Well, we've had a hard time just getting over the 10,000 mark. So I would have a 10,000 mark right here, the big even, as a resistance line that we would have to beat before we could make a breakout. So say we hit this here, we could get stuck right here at 10,000 and then come back down and test this and then see where the hell we go from there. If we go below this, I would say that we are most likely going to come down to either touch this line or we could go even more short term and say, well, if we're in that line and we go below it, we may bounce back up or might hit another type of resistance or support around this level. This 8200 level here, if you go back, has shown that it has been a resistance line, it has been a support line, resistance, and there's lots of confirmations that are right around this level. So we may bounce off here or even higher at the 8800, which has done about the same thing. So anybody who's looking at these charts can pick any of these numbers to be their buy, their stop loss, or any adjustments as far as their trades goes when they're shorting the market. So while we're in this tight consolidation pattern at the moment, I see that there are so many different things that people could be reading and interpreting right now, and that's the reason why we're stuck right here. And then the second we go down just a little bit, we bounce back up, or if we go up too high, we bounce right back down, is all the bears have their sell orders in different little spots. All the bulls have their sell and buy orders in different little spots, and because we're at this standstill right now, we don't know what's going to happen until somebody decides, not somebody, but something can change, and then all of a sudden everything goes one way or the other. And because we've been in this for so long, anybody who says they know which way it's going to go is full of shit. It's just a guess. My guess right now is more bullish because of two indicators that were bearish before but are now bullish, and I'm about to get into those. So the last thing I'm going to add on here is I'm going to go ahead and take off this EMA, and I'm going to add an RSI. And remember, we are still on the weekly candle chart as of right now. So if we come here, we can see the RSI came up when we had a high, was low when we had a low. This 70 to 30 mark is the window that we want to stay in. If we get to over 70, we are over sold. Right? Let me see. I do it in my head all the time. I don't remember what the exact term is. Oh no, we're overbought at this point because the price is higher than the amount that's there. If we hit below, we're oversold, and that's the time that we need to start rebuying to get the price back up. I believe I said that right. Well, either way, we can see that we were right here. So at this bull rally, when we were on May 6th of 2019, this is where our RSI started to go up above our 70 point. Now, during that time, we were oversold. Right during this candlestick, we got back into that window, and it started to go up again where we were oversold. Well, right over here, we're still at that highest point, which was oversold here. I hope I'm not saying that backwards. I just can't remember in my thought process here. Right here, at the same price of 11,005, we are still in a good positive range in the RSI. However, we are in a downtrend. As this time period extends longer, the RSI can, in a sense, accept the price that was at the top of a peak. And I hope this isn't getting too confusing with my explanation, since I'm trying to do this video quickly here. But right here, we have our RSI is at the 60 range. So we are in an uptrend, and we are at the top. Well, we went down a little bit, but we're still in the bullish sense because we're above 50. I'm just going to use 50 as the mark. We come back again. Now we are at back up to like 58, but we hit a top, and now we've been in this downtrend. And as we hit that, our candle right now is slightly higher, showing that we could be going up. So this here is still a upwards trend RSI. Then after the RSI, I always want to take a look at the MACD, which I will add that indicator on. Yeah. And I always double click this and I check it out because I can't really see it in that tight little window. So here, this is telling us how everything's moving as a whole. So right here, we had more people is more bearish in a sense, and then we had a cross on our averages here, and we've been doing good. Yep, cross here. So then this here coincides with the trends that we had before. The further we go out past our histogram and towards up to 3,000, 4,000, that's the more out the higher up that we would need a potential for a reversal, and it goes both ways. On the bottom here, we went way too far down, and you could tell that, and then we crossed over on our lines here, and you could see that that's when we knew we were there. So as of right now, we are still in an uptrend. That can change if we decide to break out. This one here will just shoot right on up, but we're kind of at a, I don't know, it's kind of at even, and we're not that far away from zero, so it's not the likelihood of correcting we don't really know if it's going to go a little bit or a lot, because it could just go, oh, not enough, and we jump down here, we can go there, because these are just percentages and averages of all the other indicators that we have there, and it just shows us the overall trend of people buying or selling. After I've looked at all these and I have a good idea, because this works on anything that you want to analyze, I just take a look to see, all right, is there anything weird as far as each of the candlesticks that were in these trends? You have red and green candlesticks. Sometimes you have where the body's huge and there's a long wick. Sometimes it just looks like a little plus, little things here. I'm looking for different things that set off, we may be bad. Well, right here in February, we have these three, I forgot what they call them, but we just have 3 red candles in a row. There's like 3 white soldiers and something blacks, crows, ravens, whatever it is. We have 3 red candles here that are going over each other. We came down, we tested one of those support lines that I hit right here where I bought. So when I bought here, I just knew that we had gone really low. This was a rough time, politically and in the world, geopolitically. This is when Corona hit the United States. So I had faith that we were going to go up from here. So I just put in a long from here to there, and I had my stop loss at I didn't think it would go any lower. So I just put it to like, I think 3,500 or something, which I ended up getting pretty lucky that we never got to there. But I put in on this one, so could have actually gone shorter, but either way, and I sold right below this line. So if we wanted to actually take a look at that trade, I bought in somewhere right here. I put my stop loss to below that candle because I wanted to be safe, and not this line, I put it in at this line, this resistance line, sorry, because I knew I had a 2-to-1 risk. So I knew that I'd come here, and I took profits at here and sold it all there. And that's where I was playing around on my Dudex account, which I wish I could have recorded, but that was a long time ago, and I actually got out of it in, I guess, April or May, beginning of May, somewhere around there. So but then, and that's kind of one of the things that I'm using to make my actual trades are these big lines, and I base it off of just trends. At this exact same point here, we were going into a downtrend on the MACD. However, I just didn't think that we would go past this, and as you can see, that quickly switched back over. All right, so now that we have the weekly chart, I always look at the daily chart and try to do it the exact same way, and I'm looking for similar trends. Well, to get towards the end of this video here, the trend that got me the most bullish that I didn't realize until I guess a couple days ago when I had more data is we have a bullish divergence here. So on our actual daily candlesticks here, we have no more lower lows being set. They're actually being set higher. So we have higher lows being set, but we also have just a much lower, bigger decline. Let's see. Oh, there it is. That there. It's like we have a trend up here and we have a downtrend in the RSI. So this is not what we'd usually see. When we were coming up here in this little run, our RSI was going. Once we hit the top and it says that we were oversold, or overbought. That's the term I couldn't think of. Overbought and oversold. When we were overbought, so take everything I said before and just add the word overbought. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. We were overbought here, and then we had a downtrend starting here. Well, we went up. Well, now from right here, we have been going up on our candlesticks, and we've been going down in our RSI. So what that tells me is that the price here of, where's that at, 10,000, which was overbought at this date, if we come down to here, that's saying that the price of 9,400 is not overbought at all, based off of the relative strength index, which is an average of the closing candle of, I think, the past 14 days or whatever, averaged together, and then there's a whole formula of RS and yada yada yada. But overall, we've had a downtrend in our price here, but this is saying that, well, no, that price is actually kind of okay for that point. So this divergence of these two, an ascending trend and a descending trend, actually is a bullish divergence for Bitcoin. And I know it has happened before, I just can't remember where it was. If I find it, I will put it in the description to show you the other times that this worked. But the biggest thing that I like about this with the bullish divergence is our MACD here. The blue line is crossed over and it's going, so we're getting some increase, so showing that there's more people interested in buying. The problem is we have less volume here. So with that less volume, there's not as much there to be sold to make these moves. But with the RSI going down, I see the price going up. And just this alone is why I am bullish over bearish right now. But you can take any factor that you want into it. You can say anything you want in there, and anything you put, if you can make it sound good and somebody else reads it and goes, I agree with you, that could be passed on, and those trends can be used to make the prices. So you can even go down to the 4-hour chart and do the exact same thing. It's just spotting trends, seeing do they work, confirming it, and then from there making your prediction based off what happened before on where you should buy and sell. So I hope that made it a little bit easier on how I come up with these crazy lines and charts, as I do have like a method to my madness. Just to kind of show you, I think that right now we are in this symmetrical triangle, and we have the 50 simple moving average offering as kind of a support and resistance because we've been going over above it. But here on the 20 exponential moving average, we've been using it as support until this 4-hour candle, which hasn't closed yet, which will close, or sorry, this daily candle, which hasn't closed yet. We have another 21 hours. So if this one closes below here, I would suggest that we would probably try to bounce off of this support line. So just for fun, I took a really small amount of Bitcoin, did 10x leveraging. I put a stop loss for 91.40 something, which is lower than the bottom of this wick here, because if we are following this bouncing off of this triangle I made, once we came up here and we didn't quite get it, and we're now having two reddish candlesticks, we're going to bounce down first and then come up. And anytime during this, it could just make a move to the bottom or a move to the top. But I'm just speculating that we're going to stay in this triangle a little bit longer. We'll come down to here, and then we'll come up and we'll retry this moving average here. But I think it'll go up further and test this one more, just because the volatility is almost gone, but it's got to test its bounds each way, right? So I think this one will be the one that we actually test, because we've actually had a lot of highs and some actually going up to the 10,000 mark. So I put my take profit right here. So whenever this closes and the price breaks this, my stop loss or my take profit, I'll post it just to show you. But that's how I did this quick trade. I don't usually do these quick trades. I just thought it'd be fun to see, this pattern that I'm seeing develop. Let's, put my money where my mouth is, all $20 of it, and let's see if it actually does what we think it's going to do. Overall, I think, coming back to this chart here, I think this rally up going into this ascending triangle is, plus the bullish divergence, means we're going to have a bullish trend from here, and I think we're going to actually start to test new highs here soon. Specifically because this ascending triangle, which is almost more like a pennant, I guess it is a pennant because it's coming off of a continuation of a bull, because a pennant's a continuation pattern, and we have a increase here. And then the fact that we're going into the pennant now is like a little bit of a consolidation, but this is technically like a bull flag, plus the bullish divergent with the RSI and the overall trend going up. If this is indeed a continuation pattern with a pennant, we would be going up from here to test new resistance lines, which would be 10,000. So we have lots of points that we would have to pass. But that's it as far as my overall analysis on Bitcoin from macro trends, how I get my trend lines, and I've done tons and tons more lines on there. The difference is, half those I say, nope, they can't be confirmed. No, they can't do this. So in the end, I don't ever use them. They don't talk about it in my videos. Only the lines and trends that I can confirm are the ones that I will put on here and bring to you, because I'm trying to weed out all the time that you don't have to actually apply to these charts, or if you're learning, to see my methodology and why I put stuff where I put them, and why do I change my mind, why do I do this. So I hope that helped. I'm going to go ahead and end with just a couple of quick things. I'm not going to read these articles, but something like this is really bullish to me. This is from ZY Crypto. This article is by Nick James today. Someone just placed a massive $18 million Bitcoin buy order to prevent Bitcoin from crashing to zero. So, there's lots of faith in this space. Whether this is real, or I haven't checked to see if this actually got moved to the exchange, but, hearing news like this makes people go, okay, maybe I won't lose all my money. It makes them feel good. And that's where the fundamental analysis comes in, because that's the stuff that's not seen on technical analysis that can change the market, just like Corona did this year. And then lastly, I'm going to do this article here. Shares of Ripple partner MoneyGram pop 14%, and here's why. If anybody's watched my channel knows I love XRP, and that is one of my main holdings besides Bitcoin. Actually, I think right now I have more XRP than I do Bitcoin. But that's because I truly believe in what with Ripple's doing, and the fact that on-demand liquidity and everything can just really change how we do global payments and just money in general. But this article just saying how the partnership with Ripple, and most people already knew this, but the fact that it's getting more publicity, makes me happy. But I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a little bit about technical analysis. If there's anything I misspoke and you caught me, just put it down in the comments, and I'll double check to make sure I know what the hell I'm talking about. And if not, I will pull up actual articles that describe the pattern I'm talking about, the trend lines, anything that I did in this video, just to help you guys learn. So thanks. Take it easy.